You are the first Limbs and Games. Hello, hello everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Hello Mediocre. Hello Michelle. Hello Kiaki. I don't know how the number 3 works now. Now Michelle's number 1. So hello, hello, hello everyone. Hello Massa. Hello Francesco. Hello everyone. I hope you're all doing well. I haven't got anything like major that I wanted to react to. Lewis, I don't know if any of you just saw that. I wanted to see the David Lammy stuff yesterday. I didn't actually end up seeing this yesterday. Let's see if there's anything available on YouTube, because we could have a look at that. Only 2 viewers. Goat fell off. It's a good day for me. It's a good day for me. 2 viewers. Fucking UK though. God, hello everyone. Hello, howdy newsman. Hello, 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 hello. Let's go. I don't know how you get the thing, because it seems to be to do with messaging, I think, but it's me. I'm both viewers. Goodness me, what, you got 2 accounts just to support Chris K Middle East? I haven't really planned the live today, because I've been working on a new video. I'm going to make a video about Superman, and was it really pro-Palestine? And I'm going to be saying that no, it wasn't. And my main reason for why it wasn't pro-Palestine is because it's these sort of superhero films. And also just like, by the way, if the US government saw like someone making money off if the US government saw someone making money off genocide, they'd get involved. They'd be supporting that if it was someone who didn't fit in with American interests. Sorry, I'm just looking at there's something happening in Canary Wharf. Should probably put on my headset. I really need to get a smaller headset. I need to get like a less gamer-esque headset. Right. He was busy going live on TikTok. No way they finally did it. Get the liking button pressed. Indeed, indeed. It's me, I'm both viewers. What's up? Tragic news. No way they finally did it. What does an official map of Israeli map look like? Israel voted, so I'll talk about that shortly. Let's just listen to what David Lammy was saying.
I'd like to make a statement on the Middle East. I'll begin on Syria. We've been horrified by the recent violence in the south, including civilian deaths. Clashes between Druze and Bedouin militias have quickly escalated into intense fighting, with involvement...
I will just say, like, you know what? You shouldn't have run a destabilizing operation in Syria then, if that's what you didn't want to happen. Like, it's your fault. You guys destabilize Syria, but we're going to 2 times this because I want to listen to it. ...from government forces and further Israeli strikes on Syrian military. As I said directly to Foreign Minister... I think I currently have enough mods on YouTube. That's the only thing I'll say.
Shabani, we want to see the fighting ended, civilians protected, and the rights of all Syrians upheld. The violence in Sawada must be investigated and those responsible held accountable. We want humanitarian access to be restored. Aid delivered and Syria's sovereignty must be respected. The UK can be proud of our support to the Syrian people over many, many years.
I love how he just says Syria's sovereignty must be respected. Okay, who's not respecting Syria's sovereignty? Who are the people not respecting sovereignty?
Yes. And a stable Syria matters for the UK's national interests, for terrorism, for irregular migration, for regional stability. We must work to prevent extremism, sectarianism, or lawlessness taking hold now that Assad is gone. That's why we're backing a sustainable ceasefire, and that is why we support an inclusive...
Jesus fucking Christ. Have any of you seen what Randy Fine said yesterday? Sorry, this just popped up. Release the hostages. Until then, starve away. This is all a lie anyway. It amazes me that the media continues to regurgitate Muslim terror propaganda. This guy is a sitting US congressman. Like, that is insane. I know he's depraved. This guy is like...
Inclusive transition.
Everyone keeps asking about the Mehdi Hassan Jubilee debate. I mean, platforming Nazis is a pretty interesting thing, but I couldn't even talk about it anyway if I wanted to.
And it's why I visited Damascus recently, to support and to press the new government to meet its commitments. I'll now turn to the situation in the occupied Palestinian territories. It's 2.5 months since Prime Minister Netanyahu...
Okay, here we go. Hold on. I just want to see if there's anything going on with Canary Wharf, if there's any information about what's
who restarted offensive operations. The IDF has driven Palestinians out of 86% of Gaza, leaving around 2 million people trapped in an area scarcely over 20 square miles. Whatever this Israeli government might claim, repeated displacement of so many civilians is not keeping them safe. In fact, it's quite the reverse.
It's just so weird, like you're just openly admitting what Israel is doing.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, the new Israeli aid system is inhumane, it's dangerous, and it deprives Gazans of human dignity.
It's also part of a plan to ethnically cleanse Palestinians, by the way, cooked up by the government that you still consider your closest allies, like the US and Israel. These are the people who cooked up this depraved aid scheme. Like, it's so funny. Like, what action are you going to take then? If you're willing to admit that this is a thing. This is the funny thing about UK politicians. All of this stuff is just to kick the can down the road from taking any meaningful or serious action. Like, why didn't you do anything about the years of annexation of the West Bank? Let me have a look. Make Zaina a mod. Do we think we need another mod?
It contradicts long-established humanitarian principles.
Thank you, though, Taratrove, as always.
It creates disorder Hamas is now exploiting with distribution.
Hamas is now exploiting the disorder. Like, what does this even mean? Like, this guy cannot resist it.
Points reduced from 400 to just 4. It forces desperate civilians, children among them, to scramble unsafely for the essentials of life. It's a grotesque spectacle, wrecking a terrible human cost. Almost 1,000...
What, is the video's audio too loud? Seriously?
Civilians have been killed since May, seeking aid.
Pin your previous post. Yes. I'll pin that. Okay, Zaina, I'll add you as a mod. Congratulations on the new mod.
Including 100, Mr. Deputy Speaker, this weekend alone. There are near daily reports of Israeli troops opening fire on people to access food. Israeli jets have hit women and children waiting for a health clinic to open. An Israeli drone has struck down children filling water containers, which Israeli officials blamed on a technical error. Hamas is, of course, contributing to the chaos and taking advantage of it. But I utterly...
How is Hamas taking advantage of it? What chaos is Hamas taking advantage of? Like, this is the fucking insane thing. Right now, you should be unequivocally condemning Israel. Israel is the only person who... Israel is the only person mass massacring Palestinians who are seeking aid. Like, how are you sitting there and saying this?
Condemn the killing of civilians seeking to meet their basic needs. The Israeli government must answer what possible military justification can there be for strikes that have killed desperate, starving children? What immediate actions are they taking to stop this litany of horrors?
Like, honestly, what immediate actions are they taking? It's crazy hearing these words. It's crazy hearing these words. What immediate actions are they taking? You need to press for those immediate actions. You can't just say you want them.
And what will they do to hold those responsible to account? Mr. Deputy Speaker, I've said before, I'm a steadfast supporter of Israel's security and its right to exist. I treasure the many connections between our peoples.
What connection do we have with this settler colony in the Middle East? What connection am I meant to have with this little genocidal entity? Why am I just meant to have a connection with it?
And the horrors of October the 7th must never be forgotten.
Bro, like, honestly, I say this on TikTok Live all the time. If you are still talking about October the 7th, you are doing propaganda for Israel. You are doing propaganda for Israel. That is exclusively all it operates for. October the 7th was 2 years ago. Israel's genocide has been ongoing for 2 years. They have perpetrated worse crimes than October the 7th over and over again. By far, Israel's leaders were condemned for preventing anesthetics from entering the Gaza Strip. Like, what is this? They are literally forcing people to have amputations without any anesthetics and, like, horrifying operations without anesthetics. And it's just okay.
But I firmly believe the Israeli government's action are doing untold damage to Israel's standing in the world.
By the way, this is actually what they care about. This is actually what they care about. They care about Israel's standing.
And undermining Israel's long-term security. Netanyahu should listen.
This is the kind of shit that the UK is doing. We're taking action to stop migrants working illegally as food delivery drivers. Our new agreement means the government will share asylum accommodation locations with Deliveroo, Just Eat, and Uber Eats, so they'll know if riders are staying there and can take action. It's just like, this is what the UK government is focused on. They're not doing anything about the genocide happening.
To the Israeli people, 82% of whom desperately want a ceasefire. And to the hostage families, because they know it offers the best chance to bring their loved ones home. Those hostages may be hidden in cramped tunnels under the ruins of Gaza, but we will not forget them.
Nothing justifies October 7th, but October the 7th justifies everything. Yeah, honestly. And also, by the way, this argument of, like, what was Israel supposed to do? What were Palestinians supposed to do after Sabra and Shatila, after Operation Cast Lead, after all of these things, where there were huge numbers, more killed than October the 7th killed? What were they supposed to do? If you are arguing that violent action is the only option after extremely traumatic, brutal violence against civilians, as you describe it, why the fuck is it just okay for Israel to just, why the fuck is it not okay for Palestinians to resort to violent methods?
Hamas's despicable actions, and we will continue to demand their unconditional release. This offensive puts them in grave danger, but still, Netanyahu persists. Indeed, Minister Katz has gone further, proposing to drive Gaza's entire population into Rafah, imprisoning Palestinians.
So why do you have a relationship with them? Like, why do you have a relationship with them? And this is also the funny thing, by the way. All these people who claim it's just like a few fringe generals, that Israelis are just randomly shooting people. Israel Katz is meeting with the most extreme members of Israel's fucking genocide brigades. And, like, endorsing them and enabling them to do these things.
Unless persuaded to emigrate.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, Hyper J. Unfortunately, you can't be here. Israel has leveled Gaza. I do not care about October the 7th or 40 hostages. Exactly, bro. Like, honestly, if this is what you're talking about, like, Israel is enacting mass starvation. It is trying to enact crimes against humanity every single day. Please behave.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, this is a cruel vision which must never come to pass, and I condemn it unequivocally. Permanent forced displacement is a violation of international humanitarian law. Many Israelis themselves are appalled. A former Israeli Prime Minister, Ehud Barak, said it marches us into an abyss. He was right. Mr. Speaker, today I join a statement of 31 foreign ministers as signatories.
Again, the Nazis were not stopped by strongly worded letters. If you are enacting crimes against humanity, if you are perpetrating genocide...
With a simple, urgent message, the war in Gaza must end now. There is no military solution. Negotiations will secure the hostages. Further bloodshed serves no purpose. Hamas and Israel must both commit.
It is literally just Israel. It is just Israel that won't commit. That's the problem. Hamas will commit to ending the genocide. Israel will not. That is your problem. That is your exact problem.
A ceasefire now, and the next ceasefire must be the last ceasefire. I thank the United States, Qatar and Egypt for their tireless efforts, and I'm sure all members share my intense frustration that it has not happened. Until there is a breakthrough, we must keep doing all we can to relieve the suffering. UK aid has saved lives, reaching hundreds of thousands with food, water, hygiene and sanitation, and essential health care, and under the most appalling circumstances, our aid...
I mean, what makes the Gaza genocide such a horrifying example is just that it is so unequivocally supported by our governments. Like, I'm sorry, this statement is not enough. Like, this statement is not enough at all. I mean, in many ways, the UAE is very similar. The UAE is similar in the sense of, like, with Sudan, we've been protecting them. But in terms of the public protest against Israel's genocide,
aid is safe.
The gap in public opinion to what our government is doing is genuinely insane. Lip service words are as weak as sorry, 100%, 100%. Calling Hamas to end the war at this point is just fucking insane. 100%, 100%. It's insane because, like, what? What are you gonna say? Like, what are you gonna say? Oh, you're up. Sorry, you're calling on Hamas. Hamas have already committed to it. It's literally just Israel who refuses to.
Saving lives today. That includes the almost £9 million the UK has provided to UK Med since we entered office, reaching 500,000 patients inside Gaza, 24,000 in the past fortnight alone.
Israel has made a sport out of killing and raping. 100%. Exactly. Israel's torture dungeons are, like, regularly celebrated on Israeli media. Of children, David Alami.
Like 3-year-old Razan, UK-funded medics removed a bullet from her neck after nearly 3 hours of surgery. These doctors and nurses working in the most extreme conditions are true heroes. They deserve the thanks and the admiration of the entire House. We're also working, of course, multilaterally. The 149 trucks from the World Food Programme and UNICEF entering Gaza in recent days
It's just a joke. It's just a joke.
included food supplies funded by the United Kingdom.
That's enough out of him from this video, at least. I want to watch a different one because it's just slop.
It's become a daily sight. Over 655 days of this war, the endless march of parents burying children. But 3-month-old Yahya wasn't killed in an Israeli airstrike. His body simply ebbed away.
He died from malnutrition because his family were unable to feed him or his siblings. They couldn't provide him with infant formula or nappies.
At Rantisi Children's Hospital, more and more families are seeking help for malnourished children, those born premature.
He's thanking the people that continue to allow a situation where Palestinians are exterminated every single day.
Or with complex needs remain at greatest risk. But with only a trickle of aid entering the Strip since late May, after more than 2 months of total blockade, that risk is spreading. And for Sham, it's particularly acute.
Just look at how, look at how, like, sick and ill these children are because Israel is starving them. Hamas never did that on October the 7th. Hamas never did that. Ever.
There's no milk and I don't have the nutrition to breastfeed her naturally. Her health has deteriorated. We hope that milk and nappies for children will be allowed in and that crossings will open to bring in food. As mothers, we watch our children suffer and it pains us.
This lovely baby is 11 months old.
In southern Gaza, at Nasser Hospital, the same phenomenon. Baby Sila should be 3 times her current 3-kilogram weight.
And it's just so sadistic that, you know, like, there's people who are like, yeah, there's no starvation. It's all just made up. There's literally just imagery of it. There are so many people just dying of starvation. There are babies literally starving to death. And there are still these fucking idiots who are like, well, actually, a cafe opened in Gaza. Actually, a cafe opened there.
She's cardiac free, chest free, neurological free. The problem in this baby is just acute severe malnutrition. The mother is malnourished. She's unable to give breastfeeding.
Families like Sila's losing out in the brutal competition for what limited aid gets through. Here in Gaza's far northwest, they hurl stones at the aid truck to force it to stop.
And by the way, this is also a design of Israel. This is also a design of Israel. Because Israel has taken out all civilian government officials in Gaza and said, well, it's okay because they're members of Hamas, because they've done all of these things to destroy police infrastructure, now people are just reduced to this. Chris, how do you stay from going insane? Hope that we can build a better world, that this isn't all there is forever, because I genuinely don't believe that can be the case. Sorry, you're going to hear me repeat. But yeah, hope that isn't just what all this can ever be forever.
Then it's every man for himself. Watch the man in the bottom right. He's too late to grab a bag of flour, so he tries to take one, brandishing what appears to be a knife. This is close to where Gaza's health.
Literally, this is literally just entirely a design of Israel and its sadistic system.
Health Ministry says 67 people seeking aid were killed by Israeli fire on Sunday, but still they come day after day.
I'm suffering to provide for my children. I went to death to get a bag of flour for them. A truck wheel almost ran over my head, and I was injured when I got the bag.
Desperation still at the remaining soup kitchens, reliant on traditional aid mechanisms. Today, one provider said its stocks had been entirely depleted.
I swear it's been 4 days since I've eaten, and I can't stand. Look at my hands shaking. We can't stand.
It's just fucking evil, man. It's just evil that this is still happening. That this is actually just something that has been unequivocal. That, like, legally in the UK, going out and protesting and preventing Israel going out and targeting Israeli weapons manufacturing manufacturing sites is a crime, is a terrorism, is crime. And this is just okay. Like, you can legally support this and lie about this and pretend, you can legally, lie and pretend about this. I have to remind myself that I can't stop living because they win. If Palestinians don't stop, then I won't. Exactly. Palestinians are resilient, but this is insane.
And my son is crying, telling me, I want to eat, Dad. I want to eat.
Oh, 100%. 100%. It's also like people will bring up, they'll be like, before the state of Israel, there was this massacre of Jews. And it's like, hey, that didn't come out of just rank anti-Semitism. That was a result of basically what Israel did, of the Zionist project did, of settling Palestinian land.
People like Ibrahim unable to take the other option, to run the gauntlet near sites belonging to the US-Israeli-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, where hundreds have been killed in the last 2 months. In Deir al-Balah, Israel's latest ground incursion continues, the many times displaced coming back to find their camp destroyed. No belongings, nothing even left to cook with, says Mohammed.
There's no military purpose to this. This is just sadism, pure sadistic evil with the explicit goal of expelling Palestinians. They openly state it. They collude with the US government to do this. How the fuck did New York Times put out another opinion piece saying it's not genocide? Because there are still a small crop of sadistic people in this world who like this stuff, who think that Palestinians deserve this, because they are believers that non-European people are unworthy, that they are worthy of death. The Holocaust embarrassed the system of racism that undergirds Western society, and yet we didn't go anywhere from it. We didn't actually learn the lesson. It should have been embarrassed then. Identity politics and extremist racism. 100%, if they can go on and keep living, then we owe it to them to... Exactly. Are you saying that Jews and Muslims lived in peace for hundreds of years before Zionists started settling? There were points of anti-Semitism. The Ottoman Empire differed in its treatment of Jewish people and its treatment of any minority. They varied at different times depending on the whims and wills of whatever sultan. But what you will say is if you compare the Jewish experience in the Middle East, it is incomparable to that of Europe. Europeans did the fucking Holocaust. Like, there is no comparison between the two. But like the thing is that like once these settlers came, that's where the problem lies. Palestinians and people of the Middle East are not just like innately anti-Semitic or innately more anti-Semitic, or in fact even more anti-Semitic in their expressions of anti-Semitism. Never ever let these fucks forget the fact that it was the Europeans who exterminated 6 million Jewish people.
And look, there's still...
That was a Freudian slip there, talking about fucking Palestine constantly. That Israel is now exterminating 2 million people.
Bombing us. It's hard to imagine life breaking down yet further in Gaza, but people talk openly of competition to survive, of sadness at having to refuse others the help they would once have given. One more thing to add to the list of what's been lost.
Harry Fawcett reporting there. Well, joining me now is Olga Cherevko, the spokesperson for the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs on Gaza. Thank you so much for joining us. The UN Secretary-General says life in Gaza is a horror show. What are your people on the ground telling you?
Thanks, Jackie. Yes, it's quite accurate. I think we are...
Hello, Fight Back. All good, bro. Welcome, new and usual chatters. Yeah, welcome, everyone. Welcome, everyone.
Increasingly having difficulty describing the catastrophe that is on the ground. And every time I leave Gaza, just even if it's for a few days, once I get back there, I am horrified at how much worse it had progressed. And now the situation seems to be deteriorating even.
Again, we watched that video of Dwayne Claridge, the CIA operative guy who was the head of the Latin America division. I mentioned this on fucking TikTok. You literally had this guy coming out of and saying like, you had this guy coming out and say, you had this guy saying out like Amnesty are terrorists, they're all fake. They laid it this way.
At a faster rate with these reports of people, children and adults dying from hunger. And of course, as we've said for many months now, malnutrition rates have been soaring for over 4 months. And everywhere you look...
This is Channel 4.
And everyone you speak to asks, the first thing they ask for is food, and they tell you that they haven't eaten, some of them for days. Many of them are prioritizing their children, and they really don't know what tomorrow will bring or if there will be a tomorrow at all.
On that issue of the death toll so far from malnutrition, it has included a number of children, but is the risk of malnutrition confined to children and people perhaps with vulnerabilities, or does it go much wider now?
I mean, primarily, of course, it still affects the most vulnerable groups, but the risk of starvation is very real for most people now. And I
mean, I will once again. This was released on the 14th of May, and it's just like what a human can endure. Maybe is what he says. The IPC's results published estimated that 925,000 Gazans were already experiencing emergency acute food insecurity close to the starvation threshold. A further 224,000% were in catastrophe, meaning that they had fallen below that threshold. That's consistent with what we know about food stocks and the rate at which they're being eaten. Gaza is unique in the annals of starvation because of the simplicity of the calculation. In any other human calamity, a host of factors complicate the picture. An overall food availability is a poor guide to levels of hunger. In Somalia and Sudan, for example, when food becomes scarce, people fall back on age-old alternatives such as gathering wild grasses and berries, or modern strategies such as calling family members abroad to transfer cash. Palestinians in Gaza can't do any of this. Israel controls every shekel, every sack of flour, every connection to the outside world. It's a brilliant essay by Alex Duval.
I can tell you for a fact that every time I look at my own friends, if I don't see them for a few days, they will have gotten much thinner, and I hardly recognize them anymore these days.
Because that is one of the extraordinary elements of the reports coming out now, that it's doctors, nurses, humanitarian workers who are all also struggling to feed themselves, which makes dealing with the crisis very difficult, doesn't it?
Exactly. I mean,
I was just trying to find this. More than 100 NGOs warn Israel's forced mass starvation stalks all Gaza. Like, to believe the Zionist lie is to believe that, like, that none of this is happening. You have to rely on the Israeli government, the US government, and deranged people on the internet who tell you otherwise. And by the way, I just wanted to pull up Ethan's story. I don't want to talk about Ethan Klein all that much, but just look at what he's posting about. Hassan Piker, a protest to dunk on Hassan. Hassan. This is allegedly someone who's pro-Palestine, who's incensed that people dare to talk about him fucking negatively. And it's just like, you know, we'll watch this video after this Al Jazeera one. But, like, it's just like, these are the things that, like, these people are talking about. I mean, I don't even care to check what fucking Loner Box is talking about, but I highly doubt it. It's like, he'll be like, I'm sure his audience are incensed by him telling them that, hey, Israel's starving people.
Everyone in Gaza is working under immense pressure and, of course, are affected in many similar ways as most.
I know 2 million starved to death in Ireland. Once you pass the tipping point, it's almost impossible to recover. I mean, it's interesting to see Ireland as well, when there's, like, still houses and stuff that are, like, uninhabited or, like, basically destroyed because of, are basically destroyed and left to fall into ruin because of basically, you know, no one being able to do anything about, what am I saying? Because like, people just never went back. It's insane.
People in Gaza are, and of course they're affected by also the displacement orders.
Here's an idea. We should get Israel out of Cyprus. I think we should get Israel out of just any relationship with Europe or anything around the world. This needs to be an entirely isolated country. It is genuinely a genocidal settler colony.
And our operations are constrained and further restricted by these orders and by the operations that are ongoing, and of course the lack of food, which is one of the main crisis points there.
I mean, we see day after day and hear of terrible scenes at the food distribution centres run by the controversial Gaza.
Trisha took the wrong man. It was supposed to be the orange man. I'm not sure what you mean by that. We only just matched our pre-famine population in Ireland. Yeah, I mean, Ireland is one of the few populations in the world that doesn't have a larger population in the, like, population growth in the last 200 years, I think.
The humanitarian...
It's one of the only countries that is like that.
Foundation. How is all of that playing into the issues of how much food is getting to people?
Well, I mean, all...
No, I think Canethius is probably talking about a video which emerged recently. I'll show you. This was in Greece, actually. It's not loading for some reason. Any Greeks in here to shout out, to tell us what they're saying? But they protested, some Israeli tourists in Greece. And they just drove the boat back. And like, I know there's like, the top comment is normalizing racism, scum. It's like, hey, this isn't racism. This is because they're doing genocide. It's not targeting people on the basis of, like, immutable characteristics. It is literally saying, we don't want you here because your country does genocide and you are benefactors of that. It's like fucking Ethan and Gila. Like, Gila getting a fucking Star of David tattoo that's blue. It's like, come on, this is the Israeli flag stuff. This is the Israeli flag stuff. And also, again, I think Ethan should be forced to watch that video of Netanyahu on Nelk because he'd realise how much of or how similar the two are. Look at this. This is what Smotrich was saying. By the way, not a fringe radical, Israel's finance minister. Mr. Prime Minister, in light of Hamas's apparent refusal, the time has come to finally close the door on a partial deal and to order the IOF to launch an assault on the conquest of Gaza and the humanitarian separation plan until Hamas is subdued and all hostages are released. Unconditionally, it is completely destroyed. The time for victory has come. Talking about conquering Gaza. Sadistic, evil.
We have to do.
We do love the Greeks. Yeah, Israel is racist, but only towards the Palestinians of the society.
Is look
And also, I know Trisha Paytas called her child Aquaman. I feel like that is just child cruelty.
around and to see that the situation isn't actually getting better. It is getting worse, and clearly people have been stripped of every shred of their dignity. They are faced with a choice of, it's not a choice, the only choice they have is either starve to death or risk their life to find food. And I've spoken with many people who have told me that they cannot bear the thought of watching their children starve in front of their eyes. And so this is why they resort to this option.
I mean, Israel denies that it's responsible for shortages of food. It's actually accused the UN of failing to protect the aid and allowing it to be stolen by Hamas. What's your response to that?
Well, if we look at the situation that we had on the ground during the ceasefire, when ample amounts of supplies and aid.
By the way, someone also put it like this. When aid is scarce, that is actually when it could be weaponized by Hamas. When aid is not scarce, when aid is like freely available to people, how would they weaponize it if everyone had aid? Like how would they weaponize it?
We're entering, and when conditions.
Oh, Israel is racist against all Mizrahi Jewish people. This is stuff that people have written about for years, like Ella Shohat, the Yemeni baby affair, where they stole Yemeni babies from. Stole Yemeni babies from Yemeni parents is genuinely insane. Like, it's genuinely insane, and Israel lied about it. And by the way, just on this topic of what Lammy's about to say, Matt Kennard from, I think, Declassified, right? A British spy plane set off from Gaza 45 minutes ago. It will spend 5 hours over the besieged and starving Palestinian territory. The intelligence collected will be provided to Israel, but UK government refuses to say what parts of Netanyahu regime it is handing the intel to. Wasn't this while Lammy was speaking? Quite possibly, literally, whilst David Lammy's speaking, going, oh, this is intolerable. We're still flying spy planes over them.
On the ground were such that they allowed us to distribute this aid quickly and effectively and safely. It shows you that if these conditions were in place, we would be able to repeat that again. And this is exactly what we're asking, because right now these conditions are not in place. And for us to pick up some cargo from the platforms requires, of course, very close coordination with the Israeli authorities and with the troops on the ground who have to themselves pause the fighting for us to maneuver between that. And that sometimes means waiting 16, 18 hours in a vehicle to move from point A to point B, and then further along, and of course along much destroyed roads and so forth.
OK, we're going to have to leave it there. But Olga Cherevko, thank you very much for talking to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
Now, the Foreign Secretary has been announcing sanctions against those involved in people smuggling as part of an attempt to reduce numbers crossing the Channel. I spoke to David Lammy earlier, and we started by talking about the situation in Gaza. Foreign Secretary, can I begin by asking you, is what is happening in Gaza illegal?
I made an assessment back in September that there was a...
I don't think that the sterilising Ethiopians is necessarily true. I don't think it's necessarily true. I think that story was seen as untrue, and Israel does plenty of bad stuff towards Mizrahi Jewish people and non-Ashkenazi Jewish people. You don't need to. That story is just but one of many examples.
Clear risk of international...
Do you think religion is the root of Israeli violence? No, I think pursuing racist projects of identity politics that that basically say that certain human beings are immoral, barbarous savages, and if you remove them from society, everything will be fine is the problem.
Humanitarian law. Since then, the situation on the ground has got worse. And so I am concerned that
Oh, he's concerned, guys. Phew. Our foreign secretary's concerned now.
there are crimes being committed against humanity.
So you're concerned that they may be or that there are. We know that children are being killed queuing for water. They are dying with plastic bottles in their hand. Women are dying waiting for food. Is it illegal right now?
My responsibility as Foreign Secretary is to ensure that the UK is not complicit in any acts that could be a breach of international humanitarian law.
Oh, come on.
That's why I suspended all arms sales for use in Gaza.
But it's not enough for us not to be complicit.
That's why I continue to condemn everything that I am seeing in the grotesque scene.
It's just crazy. Like, oh, I condemn it. Bro, what? Like, I condemn it. Who cares if you condemn it? Fucking do something. You're the foreign secretary. I condemn what the Nazis did. Like, it's not going to change anything about what they're doing. Stop the fucking Holocaust. Also, I don't know if any of you have seen this. Sorry, this is a bit off topic. This is actually just insane. So Israeli propaganda from this Amit Segal guy was like, Amit Cohen, who was killed yesterday, was once a face known to every Israeli. In 2007, he was a Huggies baby. Oh wow, he was in a commercial. Bad Empanada, CPS chairman. Wow, I never knew that. You're telling me just now? Bad Empanada, as in the chairman of CPS? Is this his job? CPS chairman? But anyway, and he grew up into a rapist murderer. Like, honestly, this is what Israeli propaganda is. Ex-baby is killed. Hi, y'all. First time here. I love Chris's videos. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad that you're here on the live. Obviously, going live is something I enjoy. Trying to do videos as well. He was once a baby. Once the ex-baby has died. I just tweeted about this. Hold on. I'll show you my tweet. Children are starving to death and they want you to care about some Israeli soldier who was famous as a baby. Like, this is what Israeli propaganda is. They're like posting about this. I wonder if this guy's actually posted anything about starvation or what he posts. A glimpse into the terror tunnels. Just propaganda for Israel and about a baby. An ex-baby. The ex-baby died.
Of children.
Adolf Hitler, ex-baby, commits suicide in tragic moment for men's mental health. Like, what is this?
Being shot dead. That's why I corralled foreign ministers to come together yesterday, and that's why I continue to urge for this war to come to an end. But yes, Jackie, at the heart of your question is, have we managed to bring this war to an end? We have not, and I regret that deeply.
Do something then! You're still flying spy planes as this video is taken!
But it is my responsibility to ensure that the UK continues.
I'm pretty sure also... Tragedy as ex-baby Ted Bundy is executed. Tragedy as ex-baby Albert Fish is killed. It's insane.
Continues to act, whether it was restoring funding to UNRWA, whether it was suspending arms sales, whether it was...
I mean, it's also like Piers Morgan, who claims to be like this, like, you know, moderate voice who's against what Israel is doing. The thing is that, like, this guy, like, was crying and was like, oh, the death of Israeli soldiers is tragic. And it's like, how is it tragic? Like, bro, these are people doing genocide. I don't care at all. Ex-baby David Lammy indicted at The Hague. Poor ex-baby Lammy, once famous as baby.
Sanctioning government ministers, whether it was stopping a free trade agreement.
Sanctioning government ministers. Sanction their whole fucking society that make money from this genocide.
All of that done by me in the last year, all of it an attempt to bring this war to an end.
But the problem is your statements become ever stronger, but they make no difference. And the Israeli government do not appear to be listening to you. Why not?
Part of what I do is make statements, and part of what foreign ministries do is make statements, but we also act, and I've just explained to you the way in which we've acted.
But those consequences haven't been enough, have they?
Yes, because your viewers well know that the UK alone cannot bring this war to an end.
Bro, you literally just got 30 people to sign up to your bullshit. You literally just got 30 people, like 30 of the most powerful leaders in the world to sign up to your bullshit statement. You could do something.
And we have
Ex-baby Ghislaine Maxwell imprisoned. Ex-baby Jeffrey Epstein accused of child sex trafficking. How could an ex-baby ever do this? How could an ex-baby ever be guilty of these things?
to act in concert with others, and we are doing that. And by the way,
could you do more? Could there be more consequences?
Strike a blow on Tel Aviv now!
And by the way,
attached to your harsh words.
And we sanction ministers, we sanction settlers. There's no more free trade agreement. We've done a lot just in the last few months.
Oh, they don't get some trade. There's no more free trade agreement. Oh, wah, no more free trade agreement. Bro, who fucking cares about some stupid free trade agreement? Fucking do something. Stop flying your stupid spy planes. Military, when a country is doing genocide, openly colluding to commit crimes against humanity, you admit that they are starving people. Fucking attack them. You attacked Gaddafi over made up bullshit. You literally bombed Libya for over nonsense. And apparently you can't do anything about Israel. Okay, bro.
And, by the way, yesterday's statement said...
Oh, punish all of Israel. It's like that clip of like a small number of Israelis protesting. Those smaller number of Israelis, if they're really against the genocide, should say, yeah, look, you know, our society as a whole has stood by this genocide.
That we will act if we do not see this war come to an end.
But British factories continue to make the parts that keep the jets which fly over Gaza in the sky. You say, if the war doesn't come to an end, you'll do more. What will you do?
Let me be clear about this. We banned all arms sales that could be used.
Oh yeah, you're still selling them F-35s.
Used in Gaza. They're banned.
30 licenses out of 300?
Let me finish the point. We are not also sending any direct parts to Israel for F-35s that could be used in Gaza. What we...
Please do the... Oh yeah, it's all performative. I'd like how they say, let me be clear as a complete reframe and obfuscate what they're trying to say. Israelis know no humanity, brother. In 2 years, we have 30 people protesting against starvation. I mean, I wouldn't say that. There are a small number who are, like, really against it. But, like, on the whole, they're gonna vote for Naftali Bennett, who will just carry on expelling Palestinians. Netanyahu is second in the polls, and apparently Israeli society is, like, really against him. It's so funny. Like, he's second in their fucking polls.
We have not been able to...
He's not lost his base. No, Israelis don't oppose him on the whole. Well, sorry. Actually, on the whole, they may oppose him, but what he actually stands for and the ideology that he has enacted in Gaza, they don't oppose. They will enact another group of people who do the same shit.
Do is withdraw from the global supply chain for some parts that might find their way into Gaza, because that would bring down F-35s all across the world, and we're not prepared to do that when there are conflicts in Europe and when we have to keep our people and other Europeans safe. But I am absolutely sure that we are not selling arms that could be used in Gaza.
And briefly on this one, the Israeli government say your words, your statements embolden Hamas.
Well, I think I reject that. Of course, Hamas do use people as human shields. Of course, Hamas are playing havoc with the chaos that we're seeing by Israel. But let me be clear, the Israeli government controls who gets in, who goes out.
Ah, fuckers. I was muted. Sorry. No. That was my fault. I was muted. But it's like, they're your allies. That's what I was saying. These people are your allies.
Where people live, they're restricting people to 15% of the Gaza Strip, and it's Israel and the government that has to take responsibility for that.
Okay, all of this speaks to the effectiveness of the UK government. Your new plan today...
Oh, also what I was asking is, Has David Lammy ever mentioned Israel using human shields? I don't think he ever has. No, he'd never mention Israel using human shields in spite of the actual evidence of it.
To sanction the gangs. We're seeing 23,000 people crossing the channel. That's up 50%. When will your plan make a difference?
I'm announcing today, for the first time in history, a sanctions regime that deals with the men in suits behind the smugglers, behind the fake.
The 2026, the 27th of October, so next year, is Israel's election. Right, he's just talking about smuggling, people smuggling, so less interested in that. But right, let's have a look at this.
In Israel, protesters there calling for an end to the man-made starvation in Gaza. Demonstrators in Tel Aviv held bags of flour, one of the basic food items that's in short supply in the Strip. They carried placards written in both Hebrew and Arabic, as well as pictures of malnourished Palestinian children. Protesters are also demanding their government agrees to a ceasefire with Hamas. Menachem Klein is a professor emeritus of political science at Bar-Ilan University. Joins us now from West Jerusalem. Good to have you with us. So, first of all, is international and domestic pressure against starvation at an inflection point? And how do you think the Israeli government will deal with this?
The pressure is not enough on the Israeli government to stop the genocide and the starvation and the operations that the government and the army takes in the Gaza Strip. What is?
Oh, that's the point I would say. That's the point I will say about like, would you be able to hide me when illegally travel the sea? Bro, don't come to the UK. That's my main thing. It's too expensive here. But yeah, like just sorry. Like on the topic of human shields, like on the topic of fucking human shields, like the fact that Israel can just get away with it. Like, Hila Klein, Hila Klein served in an army that took human shields, and yet Ethan Klein is just constantly on about how Hamas are using human shields.
Needed is not only condemnations. What is needed is taking actions, sanctions against this Israeli policy. And it's not heard, and it's not, we don't feel it here in Israel. The domestic civil society pressure is in place, but it is done by a very few civil society organizations. In generally speaking, the Israeli society...
Hold on, let me see if I can find this. Here's Tom Segev. I found myself at a demonstration on Azza Street, near the grocery store where I shop, and it occurred to me that 200,000 people... That's what there is. The nation is not divided and not torn. There is no parity between the numbers of supporters and opponents of the regime coup. The nation supports Netanyahu. Who doesn't support him? The 200,000 people who are defending their status as an obsolete elite. Yeah, I did hear about Smotrich. Maybe we'll look at that more. Thank you for your donation, Aaron. Yeah, I'll probably look at that, actually. There won't be civil war because the demonstrators will not bring about war, and the other side in any case constitutes the majority. And as far as that goes, Israeli democracy was never real. For 20 years, all the Arabs in Israel were under martial law, and then came the 6-Day War, and thereafter the entire population there in the territories was under that form of regime. Like, this is just Tom Segev from this article, who's like one of Israel's most eminent historians, calling Israeli democracy a fucking farce, which is fucking true, and just saying that there's no opposition to Netanyahu. But of course, Ethan Klein will tell us that it's the other case.
Genocidal society is the end result of ongoing, of almost 2 years of dehumanization of the people, the Palestinian people in Gaza Strip. So we end up with an Israeli blind eyes on the...
This is also the thing, by the way. Israeli society has so long demonized Palestinians, and this is why identity, right-wing politics is the most important thing to focus on. Israel's right-wing identity politics that understands Palestinians as being like the blockade to there being any good like achievable, like good situation is the problem. They decry Hamas as monstrous, barbarous, Nazi anti-Semites. They spread propaganda about them. And how do you deal with a Nazi? Well, you kill them. Because that's what the Allies did. They killed the Nazis and everyone thinks that's fine. And that's how Israeli propaganda operates. Which government has militarized society to the point of having a military and security infrastructure in the middle of a dense... Yeah, I mean 100%. Like, there was that funny video where, like, this Israeli woman was like, when you say death to the IDF, you're talking about my family, you're talking about my kindergarten teacher, all of these things. And it's like, hey, what the fuck are you saying? Are you saying all of Israel are just members of the military? Because, yeah, you fucking are.
Catastrophe that's...
And when you have created a system which justifies exterminating Palestinians on tangential links to Hamas, you better be worried.
Going on in Gaza Strip made by Israel.
You referenced there the word policy. Do the killings of Palestinians, whether they're seeking food at GHF, this notorious Gaza Humanitarian Foundation sites, or
Ex-baby loaner box accused of going on propaganda trip with ex-baby Sex Pestany,
or the deaths from hunger indicate that starvation is actually a policy goal now of the Israeli Prime Minister?
Well, no, the Allies... But what I'm saying is, at a certain point, people justify, like, the killing of Nazis. Because people are like, yeah, they were evil and immoral. And I know about Operation Paperclip and stuff, and also just all of these things. I think the Russians did a similar thing, though, to Operation Paperclip, right?
Unfortunately, you are right, fully right. And this is a policy that intend to push the Gaza people to the concentration zone. From there, Israel hopes that they will depart and leave Gaza Strip to other countries. So Israel wants to achieve a clean area. It's to prepare.
He's describing Lebensraum here. He is literally describing Lebensraum. Do you know what the funniest thing is as well? It is literally, the Zionist project and its lobbyists tried to get signed into law that it was anti-Semitic to say that, to compare Israel to the Zionists. Ex-baby, current comrades only. I'm an ex-baby.
The Gaza Strip for Israeli settlements and for the Israelis to resettle in the Gaza Strip. The Israeli wish...
and sorry about the chat, but I'm going to keep it here.
So thinking is Gaza Strip empty from its natives, its Palestinian natives, open for the Israelis to settle and to annex it in stages, first in northern Gaza and then South Gaza. And by that, Israel wants to manage the demographic burden of its single regime. Israel created in the occupied territories a single regime of Jewish superiority, but with 50% of the population in this single regime are non-Jews, are Palestinian Arabs, Israel must take care on the demographic.
So what's going to happen when they annex them? Because Israel has basically said today they voted in favor of annexing the West Bank. I mean, they're already doing it. But these people cannot have rights because they'll vote against the state of Israel. And if you annex the 2 million people there, you know? Loaner box is a current baby too now, come on. Exactly.
Burden Israel.
An adult boy and an adult baby. Don't look up Otto von Skorenzi and Israel or Lee. I know. I mean, I've never heard of the stern letter to Hitler, but who is Otto von Skorenzi?
Not have the whole area under his control with 50% Palestinians. For the long run.
Yeah, I have actually seen people pull this up because his list of alliances is crazy. Israel, Mossad, Schutzhaft. Crazy. How do you even end up in that situation?
Israel will, unfortunately, and I hope it will never happen, but for the long run, Israel might implement this policy also in the West Bank. I say it with great regret and fear that this will be done by my army and my country.
Listening to you there, it sounds like what you're referring to is this is a phase in a much...
Chris is a baby face attached to a roided out Bane body. Yeah, hell yeah.
Bigger plan of, well, the term used or referred to by doctors Without Borders, Oxfam, the Israeli human rights group B'Tselem, even former Israeli Minister of Defense, ethnic cleansing.
Definitely. Ethnic cleansing is the goal. And famine is a mean and also a goal by itself. Israel is responsible for it. Israel wants it. And Israel, even by default, I think that there are enough evidence in the government statements that it's not just by default. It's a plan, a wishful instruction that was given to the army. And it is supported by many in the civil society, by Israeli civilians. It's not such that the.
By the way, it's also so funny that, like, you know, this is like an actual professor who lives in Israel who has an understanding. And yet, on the other hand, you have, like, people like Ethan Klein who literally tell you that, like, he wants to show his kids the good and just and moral side of Israel. Like, he literally... Like, by the way, Ethan Klein literally said that he wanted to go to Israel. And the reason he didn't go wasn't because they were enacting starvation or anything. Ethan Klein said he didn't want to take his children to Israel because he was scared of rocket attacks and he was waiting for the situation to calm down. And he claims that he is targeted because of anti-Semitism.
Government is going mad, and it is extreme. It is extreme government without power base in the civil society. On the contrary, the government is supported by the Israeli society, unfortunately.
He's literally saying the same thing as Tom Segev was saying. These are like two significant professors saying the same things.
And there is no effective parliamentarian opposition within the Knesset. The so-called opposition is paralyzed, and they are partners. By not.
Oh, Israel is 100% the least safe place for Jewish people. It's the only place where you're going to be subjected to anti-colonial resistance, like on a regular occurrence, like because you're living in a settler colony that's exterminating Palestinians that is widely supported by your society.
Doing enough to stop it. They are partners in this shameful operation.
What does this ultimately mean for Israel's future, though, if it conducts ethnic cleansing, genocide, and it's provoking increasing international isolation?
Some bloke who made fun of it for not wanting to get murked by Israel. Are you... yeah, 100%. 100%. Except he cancelled so they didn't... Exactly. The craziest thing about Ethan is, like, he still maintains that he's pro-Palestine. But in the same way that someone like Lonabox does, it kind of shows you this kind of thing of you are either unequivocally against Israel or you are a supporter of Israel.
From some key countries in the global south.
I hope that there will be a price for this Israeli policy. Up to now, we did not see.
Apparently, the only place that has like apparently the only place that has like reminiscent levels of destruction to Gaza is Bakhmut in Syria. In Ukraine. What actually was the level of destruction there? Let's have a look. So this was 2 years ago, but even then it feels hard to compare this to compare this to Gaza, because Gaza looks so different in that it is like completely wiped out. Like all of the buildings were eviscerated intentionally to clear it for settlement. Like, there are bits that look similar, but, like, Gaza is almost totally eviscerated intentionally.
That the international community rearranged the destroyed international order. We speak about international order as it is.
I also think that one of the things is about saying this international order, maybe it has never been so nakedly ripped up in front of, you know, people's faces in the West by like our politicians and stuff. But at the same time, we have been doing this obscene shit to people all over the world for decades, for generations. We have done it because we can.
Force as it was in the 20th century. Unfortunately, in the 21st century, this international order that was built after World War II, after the Holocaust, that was built, it is destroyed by...
I am gonna get the PC. I just have to get round to it. I've been very busy for the last month, but yeah.
By Russia under Putin and Israel under Netanyahu.
Open Desert Plywood Shack. Home is what you make. I mean, home may be what you make, but also you cannot make a home in Gaza. Like, Israel have destroyed any opportunity to have homes in the Gaza Strip.
What is needed is to rebuild the international order, go back to the 20th century international order and...
Go back to the 20th century, what? And look at all of these examples of the UK and US supporting just the most obscene things.
Those who are in charge of destroying it must pay the price. The ICC arrest warrant against Netanyahu and Gallant became a dead word, not implemented, and even challenged by the United States. Unfortunately, the Israeli society, that about 80 years ago just only established this, the State of Israel was established by Holocaust survivors. The Israeli society now ignores the lesson.
No, my PC is good enough for the only game I ever play anymore, which is Dota, so all I want is one that can stream better.
Of the Second World War and the Holocaust, as if never existed. And this is a very, very shameful...
But also, I will keep reiterating this. The problem of like invoking the Holocaust is that after the Holocaust, we just didn't go far enough to root out this extremist system of racism and extermination. This kind of dehumanizing barbarism, which designates certain human beings as backward savages, that if they were exterminated, everything would be fine. And this is what... and this is what you end up with. Like, allowing Israel to just be seen as just and moral. Like, it's just unbelievable. You need a PC. I think my PC might be able to run The Sims. Right. I guess I want to look at this as well. Israeli Knesset backs non-binding motion to annex occupied West Bank. Right, I'm taking this off because I'm too hot. I need my fan up here, but I'm too lazy to go and get it. So 71 Knesset lawmakers vote in favour of annexing the West Bank. 13 votes against. The Israeli Knesset voted on Wednesday for a non-binding motion for the agenda to annex the occupied West Bank. The motion was backed by 71 members of the 120-seat assembly, according to Ynet. According to the Daily, the proposal is not legally or legislatively binding, but rather a declaration by the Knesset. So basically, this isn't actually them saying, hey, we're going to annex the West Bank. What it actually is them like just signing something to say that that's what they're going to do, that it's like not legally binding. They're not actually legally going to do it. But the main problem with that is that Israel, but the thing is that like Israel has already done this. Israel has already begun annexing the West Bank. Israel has been doing this. Israel has been allowed to do this by the international community, who just say Israel is our closest ally, and that and that they are allowed to do this, that we should just have a relationship, that it has a right to exist. I am sorry, but like a state that consistently does this, a state that consistently refuses any kind of peaceful solution, that all it does is just take land from Palestinians, is not one that we should be having a relationship with. And this is why, like, I see this as significant in the sense of, hey, you have the Israeli government openly declaring what they want to do. But I would say that the main problem with that is that Israel has already been doing it for decades. Like, Israel is taking the West Bank away from Palestinians. It is trying to take the Gaza Strip. It is eviscerating it. They're just getting the paperwork out the way. Yeah, that is a good way to put it. That is all they're fucking doing. They're just signing off on some paperwork to actually do it. Like, Israel is not a country that we should have a relationship with at all. Like, Israel is a country that should be expelled from the family of nations, or whatever you would call it. Like, Israel is just not a country. Like, also, by the way,
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed...
Here's a video from 2019.
...to annex Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank if...
Hold on. Sorry.
Welcome to Efrat.
To that guy who... There's like this guy who constantly asks me to watch like this channel. Jesus Christ, what is it fucking talking about?
You'd never guess that this is some of the most disputed territory on Earth. That a significant percentage of the world considers this community to be not only illegal, but immoral. That's because this isn't just any sleepy suburb. This Israeli community is nestled in the Judean mountains, in a region...
God, this channel, which is like, anti-Semitism is so bad. Anti-Semitism is so bad, is just posting this.
Most of the world knows as the West Bank. The Jewish communities out here are most commonly known as settlements, which means I'm standing at ground zero.
But what if instead of settlements, they were awesome, just Jewish guys living their lives?
Of the fight between Israelis and Palestinians. Most of the time, people run away.
By the way, that guy, the guy on the left that they just showed, Yishai Fleischer, met with Lonabox and it ended with like a handshake and him saying he had a great time with them.
Away from battlegrounds. But despite the danger, Jews from all over the world flock.
No, it's not North Korea, because North Korea, right, the Republic of Korea, South Korea, North Korea should have never ever been divided. That was entirely a creation of the, that was entirely a creation of American imperialism. Like, North Korea has a much more reasonable, has like a much more reasonable right to exist than fucking Israel. Well, it doesn't really. It should just be one united Korea. And if Koreans had voted for that, they would have.
This little sliver of...
But I agree, like, in terms of just, like, it being a pride flag to, like, whitewash all it does. Like, yeah, 100%.
Land. So, why would someone choose to build their life in the most disputed territory on the planet?
Why would someone choose to build their life in the most disputed territory on the planet? Let's find out why it's actually awesome to abuse indigenous people.
Construction on new settlements is in full swing.
The starting point of any conversation about Israeli settlements is first knowing what and who we're talking about. For many Palestinians, all Israelis are so-called settlers, whether they're on a hilltop...
Based Palestinians?
...surrounded by Palestinian villages, or living in the heart of Tel Aviv. But for most of the international community, the term settler is more limited. It refers to those Israelis living in this area, commonly known as the West Bank. And while they see Israelis living in Tel Aviv as legitimate, they find the presence of Jews in the West Bank to be illegal and a barrier to peace. But many Israelis, especially those living here, don't see it that way at all. And they're eager to tell their side of the story. It's part of the reason they welcomed me and my camera crew into their communities. I wanted to tell the whole story, and they gave me the access to do it. The first stop on my whirlwind tour was Efrat. Despite being 10 minutes south of Jerusalem, Efrat looks like any comfortable suburb around the world. You'd never know its humble origins. 200 people on an empty hillside.
You know, we're right next to a mall that, when you're inside, it could be anywhere in Israel, it could be anywhere in any developed country, and then you walk just...
Jesus Christ.
...a few meters in this...
Let's ask the Germans doing Lebensraum what they think. Ja, liebe ich hier. Aber denke ich, dass die Polen, sie sind Untermensch. Ja, ja, ja. Aber wir lieben, how do you say peace in German? They just say peace? Frieden. Wir lieben Frieden. Oh, die Geschichte, es ist so wunderbar.
Direction, and there's a fence, and then we have a Palestinian village right next door.
Yeah, that's the reality, I think, across Israel. You don't have to go very far to understand that there are threats around you.
Bro, he's on his phone whilst driving.
Okay.
So are we leaving Efrat?
So we're leaving Efrat.
Our tour wasn't confined to Efrat proper. Dov braved the wind and rain to show me the Eitam Hill, a new neighborhood of Efrat named after the three...
Just an illegal settlement that they're taking.
1,000-year-old Judean town of Eitam.
We are here, the closest point to, say, where King David grew up. He grew up right across here in ancient Bethlehem, King David's backyard. We're talking, what, 3,000 years ago?
It's so funny how, like, these channels are so depraved. Like, they're, like, talking about anti-Semitism and how evil fucking Arabs and Palestinians are. And then this is the stuff that these fucking freaks are doing.
This site is of tremendous historic importance.
Long before there were Israelis and Palestinians, before nationalism, before checkpoints or security fences, this was the home of the ancient tribes of Israel. The West Bank is a new name for a very old place. Its original name was Yehuda and Shomron, home to the ancient Israelite kingdoms. This is the land where the Hebrew Bible takes place, where our history as a people began. And that's
I am skipping this slop. I'm genuinely skipping this slop.
Yeah, only 7% of Israeli Jews make their home in Judea and Samaria. Why is that? The answer has a lot to do with modern political history. Surprise, surprise. Many of the Jews who arrived in British Mandate Palestine at the turn of the 20th century wanted to...
Thank you, Johnson, yep.
...build their lives in the Jewish heartland. So they started buying land in the Judean hills, eventually establishing organizations like the Jewish National Fund to expedite the process. But the JNF's negotiating partners changed a few times. At first, they were buying from the Ottomans, who had ruled the region.
Could you explain the diff political parties in Ireland which are tied with the Unionists and the Reform Party in the UK? That's actually not, it's not something I know much about. I'm sure that Sarah or someone else in here might actually be able to give you a way better explanation than I actually would have done.
For 400 years. Sometimes they cut property deals with wealthy Arab elites. And when the Ottoman Empire fell and the British showed up to administer the region, the British authorities imposed new rules around land purchases. The JNF jumped through all those hoops. And that's how the State of Israel acquired the Eitam Hill.
The Eitam was purchased in the 1920s and 1930s. So this was part of the original planning in 1984 of the entire city of Efrat.
Okay, so if Jews bought this land before the State of Israel even existed, why are settlements so controversial? For that matter, if they bought this land...
Because when they were buying it, it required driving the indigenous people off their land. They bought it from people who did not live there and then drove people off their land.
And in the 20s, why did it take till 1984 to actually build here? The long answer is long. Like long enough to fill a college semester and several very heavy textbooks. But the short answer goes something like this. The Arabs in British Mandate Palestine started to get worried about all these Jews coming in and purchasing land. A few Jews...
Why did they get worried? That's interesting. Why did they get a bit worried? Like, why might they have been worried? Like... Bit weird that you're now stood there in land where the people live there are categorically treated unequally to the people who live in these settlements, and you're talking about them being a bit worried?
This was one thing, but these guys were talking about building a whole state, and the Arab population wasn't keen on becoming a minority in what they understood to be their own land. Tension spiraled. Rioting and mob violence forced a few nascent Jewish communities to shut down. By the 1940s, they threatened to engulf the region completely. The UN tried to avert catastrophe by voting to split the land into two states, one Jewish, one Arab. The vote passed, but the Arab world refused to recognize it. The attacks on Jewish civilians began the very next day. For 6 months, the Arabs and Jews of Palestine duked it out. Then, the British left for good, and the gloves really came off. The Jewish state officially declared independence in 5...
You're telling me you didn't learn every single thing about Irish politics after being there for a few days? Unfortunately not, no. I went to the Barack Obama service station, as you well know.
The Arab army showed up to wipe it off the map. They failed, but they did manage to bite off a chunk of territory that the UN had earmarked for a Palestinian state, including Judea and Samaria, which were now in Jordanian hands. The Jordanians didn't waste any time. While they did not establish a Palestinian state, they did keep this new territory for them.
Because what Jordan wanted was to establish a Palestinian state that was part of Transjordan. That's what the Jordanian government wanted. People appointed by the British.
Themselves. But as soon as they took control of Judea, Samaria, and East Jerusalem, they kicked out or killed the thousands of Jews who had acquired their land legally. These days, we call that ethnic cleansing. And a lot of Israelis are quick...
Living in land that was just not theirs. Living in land that they had taken from the Palestinians. You are endorsing ethnic cleansing here.
To point out what they see as a double standard.
Therein is an assumption that while Palestinians have the right to have land anywhere they want, Jews who purchase land that predate...
Oh, Jesus Christ.
The Israeli states, they have land that belongs to them, don't have the right to live in the land that they purchased. So that's pretty bigoted. It would be unacceptable to make that statement.
It's pretty bigoted. Like, you are literally stood... You are literally working in service of a government that is premised on ethnically cleansing the Palestinian people.
Towards any other people. So I'm not sure why that's legitimate to make that statement towards Jews.
As I said, this story is complicated. So for 19 years, Israel's borders looked like this. And there was no slipping through the cracks. Not if you wanted to stay alive. Visiting Judea and Samaria was a distant dream. So was reclaiming the lands they had legally acquired decades before. And Jordan made sure the Jews couldn't even visit their holy sites. The Temple Mount complex was off limits. So were the Western Wall, the Mount of Olives, and the tombs of our forefathers and foremothers. And it wasn't just Israelis who were barred from visiting. It was every single Jew. The Jordanians even demanded...
I just want to... What's this settlement called again? Etz Ephraim, is that what it's called?
Baptismal certificates before they let tourists visit these sacred sites, just to make sure the Jews didn't somehow sneak in. So when Israel took the territory during the Six-Day War, hundreds of thousands of Jews...
Right, let's have a look into this. In early 2009, declared some 1,700 acres of land called Givat Eitam by the settlers and called and Kahalet and Natar by the Palestinians, previously considered part of Bethlehem and the village of Aphratas to be state land. After a military appeals committee approved a 2004 decision which rejected obligations against the confiscation of the land filed by Palestinian landowners, a farm is to be established, blah, 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 blah. So they're basically just talking about how this is just stealing land off Palestinians. I just want to see if there's any truth to what he's saying about when the land was purchased, because it seemingly was founded in 1983. Like, which is weird that this just wouldn't be mentioned on Wikipedia. It's weird that there's not much mention of any of the stuff he's saying on Wikipedia, but okay. Okay, bro, I'm sure he's telling the truth.
Flock to the holy sites they've been barred from for decades. Others return to the land they and their parents have been expelled from 19 years earlier. And some are still returning, including...
He's literally just with the Hilltop Youth. This is fucking crazy.
Eldad, who grew up in Jerusalem but now lives on the Eitam Hill.
סבא שלי היה פה לפני קום המדינה, הקים פה נצורים, אז ככה להמשיך את דרכו, להמשיך את הדרך של ההתיישבות.
Eldad's grandpa was one of the Jews who lived in Judea and Samaria before the establishment of the state. The Jordanian army destroyed his little kibbutz of Ein Surim and hauled its inhabitants into a Jordanian POW camp. Almost a century after Eldad's grandpa founded his doomed kibbutz, his grandson is forging a similar path. Israelis like Eldad grew up on the stories of the...
Right, let's have a look. The kibbutz was founded on the 23rd of October as a new settlement in Gush Etzion. Its founders were Palestine-born members of the blah, 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 blah. Relocation. Founded a kibbutz in south-central Israel near blah, 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 blah. In the 1980s, two major education, blah, 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 blah. After the Gaza dispute, the Gush Etiv moved into trailer park near the kibbutz and plans were drawn up for permanent housing. Okay, right, there's not that much information about this. Also, a portion of Arabs in the Levant are descendants of the Israel. Of course they are. Of course they are. Acting as if, like, all Jewish people were destroyed then is pretty ridiculous. Like, people are an amalgamation of all the different people who live there.
The pioneers who mucked out swamps and built bustling modern cities where there were once only dunes. But Eldad has no interest in building another Tel Aviv. He wants to...
Apparently also in that photo of Tel Aviv, behind them is Jaffa, which is just bustling with life.
...break ground on a new community in the Jewish heartland. The vision for the Eitam Hill is ambitious. Their goal is that there will be 900 homes here, ready to welcome sprawling families, a triumphant reclamation of historic Jewish land.
Oh god, this guy's a fucking pervert.
Eldad and his friends aren't just history buffs, they're proud nationalists, a segment of Israeli society known...
These are literally... He's calling them proud nationalists. Jesus Christ.
...known as Dati Leumi, or national religious. This patriotic and religious identity is powered by a mix of religious conviction, historical pride, and modern nationalism. They love the people of Israel, the land of Israel, and the Torah of Israel. And these three pillars are inextricably braided together.
למה בחרת לחיות כאן? וואלה, לחבר תורה ועבודה. לשמור על הארץ, לשמור על הגחלת היהודית פה באזור. לומדים תורה, חיים את הרוח פה של המקום. תורת ארץ ישראל, תורה...
Oh, the Nazis were just proud nationalists.
עבודה. יוצאים פה מרי בבוקר ולומדים תורה בבוקר ובערב ובצהריים עובדים.
פה זה חווה, שבעצם המטרה היא ליישב את הארץ. והיה רצון שיישוב ארץ ישראל יוצא מתוך מלאות בתורה, שאדם הוא הולך ליישב את הארץ, שהוא מלא בתורה, חבר'ה ישנים באוהל רעוע, אבל הבית מדרש הוא יציב ועומד ודברים.
But just as it was in the times of the Bible, the land is not quiet. Even at the height of the Israelite monarchy, other nations made their homes here too. Sometimes, the relationship between neighbors was peaceful. Other times, not so much. The 21st century seems to be one of those not-so-peaceful times. And so the Jews who choose to live in Judea and Samaria see themselves as warriors on the front lines, taking on the difficult but necessary task of defending.
Of ethnically cleansing Palestinians. By the way, these security motivations are utter bullshit. You know what? I am not watching any of these. Oh, actually, you know what? We'll skip to this and see what he's got to say about this.
Instead, Hamas took over. And after decades of rocket attacks and incitement, they upped their game. For some, October 7th came as a horrific surprise. For others, it merely confirmed what they already believed.
יצהר החליט שלא נכנסים לפה ערבים. יש פה רק עבודה עברית. לדוגמה, יצהר היא הר שמסביבו יש 6 כפרים ערבים. כפרים, כשאני מתכוונת כפרים, זה לא חקלאים חמודים שמחפשים שלום, זה אנשים שהם, המטרה שלהם זה...
What is this channel?
לשנוא את עם ישראל, לרצוח, לעשות כל מה שהם יכולים, לפגוע בעם היהודי. וזה כמובן חלק מתנועה שאנחנו רואים בכלל בעולם, כן? זה לא רק פה ביהודה ושומרון, זה כל המדינה שלנו, וגם בעולם, שהם פשוט, הם נגד העם היהודי. בסוף, אין מה לעשות. יש פה 2 עמים שהם לא יכולים להסתדר, כי שניהם רוצים את אותו שטח, וזה לא משנה כמה מהשטח.
This was really tough for me to hear. Ayelet and I agree on so much. We both love the land and the people and the Torah of Israel. We're both idealists in our own way, but our idealism runs in opposite directions. I spend my days trying to build bridges between Arabs and Jews. I learned Arabic because I think every Israeli should. I have Arab friends that are like family. I served under Arab commanders in the army. I believe this should be a country that honors all of its citizens. Look, I know we have enemies, and I will never forget October 7th. But I know that not every single Palestinian has it out for me, or for the Jewish people. So it pained me to hear Ayelet proclaim confidently that all of our neighbors hate all of us, that she condemned all Arabs. That is all or nothing, eat or be eaten. I don't believe that. I think it's wrong. I think that extremist thinking could lead to extremist actions.
Bro, you were literally just sat down with the people who steal land from Palestinians and just like, yeah, they're pretty good, you know.
As do other settlers. This is Leora, a mother, a therapist.
Woke settler movement. The woke settler movement.
A settler and a peace activist. And she came to her community hoping to build bridges with the women right next door.
החלום שלי בהתחלה כשעברתי לגור פה, החלום שלי היה לפגוש אימהות מהכפרים לידי. יש לפחות 4 כפרים פלסטינים גדולים, שממש כאילו סביבנו. והחלום שהיה כאילו להכיר אימהות ולשמוע מהאימהות הפלסטיניות איך החיים שלהם, איך הן מגדלות את הילדים, מה החששות שלהם, מה הדברים הטובים שיש להם, מה הדברים הקשים. להכיר.
Liora wasn't alone. There's a small but robust movement of Israelis in Judea and Samaria who want to connect to their Palestinian neighbors, who see no contradiction between living in the Jewish heartland and supporting Palestinian rights.
באים באמת בשביל להכיר, בשביל לשמוע אחד על החיים של השני, ולהיחשף לסיפורים אחד של השני. חיים בעולמות מקבילים, אנחנו כאילו גרים על אותו אזור בדיוק, על אותו לא יודעת כמה מטר רבוע, וכאילו מציאות שונה לחלוטין, גם לא עומדים באותו מחסומים שלנו. אנחנו לא רואים את מה שאומרים מחסומים, כי כשאני יוצאת מהשומרון לכיוון תל אביב, אני עוברת במחסום שהפלסטינים לא יכולים בכלל להגיע למחסום הזה. בכלל הם צריכים לצאת ממזורים אחרים. אחרי זה כשאתה פוגש אותם, אתה שומע מה הם עוברים במחסומים. ואתה מבין שוואלה, אולי זה לא חייב להיות ככה. כל יהודי, באשר הוא, לא משנה איפה הוא גר, מהים התיכון עד הירדן, צריך, חשוב שיהיה מעורב במקומות של דיאלוג, במקומות של חיבורים, במקום של עשיית שלום. ואני חושבת שאדרבה, מי שגר ביהודה ושומרון, הכי צריך להיות מעורב בזה.
Peace can come from unlikely places. Egypt and Jordan were once Israel's sworn enemies. Now, we have an enduring peace, even cooperation. And it didn't come from the liberals, but from a right-wing party. The prime minister who appointed Ariel Sharon as the settlement czar, who... Now...
אדרבה, מי שגר ביהודה ושומרון, הכי צריך להיות.
Now, we have an enduring peace, even cooperation.
חיבורים, במקום של עשיית שלום. ואני חושבת שאדרבה, מי שגר ביהודה ושומרון, הכי צריך להיות מעורב בזה.
Peace can come from unlikely places. Egypt and Jordan were once Israel's sworn enemies. Now, we have an enduring peace, even cooperation. And it didn't come from the liberals, but from a right-wing party.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. This is a crazy video. Alright, guys. I'm going to call the live here because I'm quite tired. I think I'm going to come live on here tomorrow, probably same time. I hope you all have a nice rest of the evening. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for everyone who donated and supported. So, yeah, have a good rest of the evening. See you.